Hello and welcome to another episode of What the F. Now, I was going to talk about a completely different topic to what I'm going to talk about now, but I'll do that topic next week. I won't say what it is, but I'll do it next week. But I changed my mind when a recent event happened that made me think about this very topic, which is ageism. Now, most people know what ageism is. It's sort of like racism, but instead of discriminating against race, it's discrimination against age. Now, again, my personal opinion and my idea of that is that it's not right. Again, most people will fucking agree that. I mean, you've already watched this now. Christ, stating the obvious, which is true. It is stating the obvious. But it's just most people would agree with like if you go for the younger person. And it's like if you're an employer and you want to employ somebody, are you going to employ a younger, inexperienced person who you might get many years of service out of, or are you going to go for an older person who has many years of experience and knows what they're talking about? Again, I'm not an employer, so I'm glad I don't have to make that choice. But I think I would go for the older guy. Because what you could then do is the older guy could teach the younger people the benefits of his experience so that when he does have to leave, he's leaving things in good shape. But you don't discount the elder person completely. Because even though they're older, they still have a contribution to make. It's silly to think that, just because they're older, they can't do the same as most of us. I mean, it's not a something I agree with, and again, there's ageism is prevalent in the world. They want to go for younger people, especially on TV, especially in TV and talent shows and stuff like that. And the case that comes to mind for me, there's a lot, but one that in particular of interest to me because it's one of the few reality shows that I like, is a show called Strictly Come Dancing. Now, for those who don't know that show, it's basically, in America they call it Dancing with the Stars. It's basically where they get a bunch of celebrities and who otherwise might not be dancers and pair them up with professionals who teach them how to dance. Every week they come on, show what they've learned, and there's a panel of judges who judge their performances every week. Now, the judging panel on that show consists of four people. It's three guys and one woman, and the woman in question, her name was Arlene Phillips. Now, I think she was at least in her 60s, maybe early 60s. And again, she's someone who's done a lot of choreography and a lot of dancing for many, many years. The only thing I can speak to that I would have heard of is she choreographed a song and dance number in the Monty Python movie, The Meaning of Life. There's a song in that movie called "Every Sperm Is Sacred," and there's a big dance section and big choreography section in that section of the film. She did that, so I was like, when I heard her, I was like, all right, she did that. She's been around a while. She has the benefit of experience, and she was she was a bit critical, but again, she knows what she's talking about. This is a woman. Listen to. She was dropped from the judging panel, and they got in a woman called Alicia Dixon, who had been a contestant in the show, to judge. Now, I found that ridiculous because look, you have a woman like Arlene Phillips, right? She's been choreographing dances for years. She's been teaching for years, so she knows what she's talking about a long, long time. And then you bring in Alicia Dixon. Now, what qualifications does this woman have? She was a pop star. She kind of knew how to dance on stage. I wouldn't call it that. I mean, the kind of dancing she would have been asked to judge, she has no qualification to judge. It was ridiculous watching her every week, being on that panel and judging and giving advice. What? You have no idea what you're talking about. Sure, she was a guest on the show and she learned a thing or two, but that doesn't qualify you to judge dance. I mean, she was taught dance and she did it very well. But she doesn't have the benefit of the experience behind her or the know-how to judge other people. So it was ridiculous that she was there in the first place. So it's that kind of ageism that I don't understand, because it's, again, I would have stuck with Arlene on that judging panel because, again, she knows what she's talking about. She's been around. It's her specific area. It's not like Arlene suddenly woke up one morning and thought this is what I'll do. She trained to do this, and she did her whole life. Alicia Dixon was a fucking pop star, not much of one, to be honest with you. So the very notion that she could judge dance is ridiculous. Right, and those are the ones that come to mind at the moment. But I thought, in preparation for this video, I thought I don't do much in the way of research. I mean, you probably know looking at these videos that I talk most at the top of my head. But there were instances I found online of blatant kind of ageism that, frankly, is just ridiculous. Like there was a case I found in America of this guy. His name was Daniel P. Landry, and he was in his 50s. He was 54. He applied for a job at a animal control center, essentially where they bring abandoned animals. They might put them down there, some vet school, whatever it was. It was an animal control center, and he applied for a job there. Now he spoke over the phone to the person who was offering the job. He dished out, these are my years of experience, I've done this, I've done that, and the guy interviewing on the phone was well pleased. He was like, this is fantastic. But then it came down to the physical interview, and when the guy met him and saw how old the guy was, he was like, ooh, hang on. He apparently said to the poor fella, at this time in your life, I don't think you have the physical ability to do this. Go to Animal Control Academy. Which Daniel Landry knew very well from his years of experience is something that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as Animal Control Academy. He was just saying, look, you're too old. Get the hell out of here. But again, this is a guy who had experience and the wisdom of that experience behind him. So it's silly that you wouldn't hire a guy like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and it goes between back and forth. Like I talked about Arlene Phillips and I talked about Sharon Osbourne. I mean, the most recent case, because it's primarily women who have to deal with this, because fortunately or unfortunately, you decide it's a male-dominated world. It's easier for men in this world than it is for women. It shouldn't be, but it is, and that's just the way things are geared. Sadly, that's the way men have fucking steered the world in this thing. Oh, men are the supreme, we are the superior, women aren't. It's a ridiculous notion. Again, but that's another subject. And it's sad, it is. I mean, there was a woman on the another BBC thing, for instance. There's this program on the BBC called Country File. It's essentially a program about the countryside and all the varying things that happen in the countryside and what happened. And there was a woman, her name was Miriam O'Reilly, no relation, and she was 53 years old. Now she was a host on this show, had been for a while, and was dropped. Just let go. Pure ageism intended. And the reason I mentioned this, because again, I've already mentioned it, but the reason I mentioned this is someone who said, fuck this, I'm not taking this. Went to court, took BBC to court and won. I mean, fair play for that, because that was just ridiculous. I mean, I'm no fan of the show. It doesn't appeal to me, but from what I'd heard people talk about her and what they said about it, she was doing a good job. People were like, well, why? It's not like ratings were going down. We need to appeal to a younger demographic. It's a show about the countryside. Young people generally aren't going to be interested in that kind of thing. Some are, but mostly not. And it was silly in that instance because she was 53. But the common element that all these stories have is it's like these people are elder and they have more experience than the younger counterparts. So it's pure image. They want to appeal to the younger crowd. And X Factor, they got in Cheryl Cole. They wanted to bring in the lads. The lads would watch because Cheryl Cole's a fine looking girl. Same with fucking Alicia Dixon and Strictly. Again, a fine looking one. They want to bring in the guys. Girls too would want to see someone closer to their own age. But again, these are shows that are trying to spot talent or judge dancing. And there's no accounting for experience. Experience is essential. If you want to judge something like that, you can't just fucking walk off and dance for and say, right, I'm going to judge now. But and same thing in Country File. This woman knew what she was talking about and was blatantly discriminated against. Now the story that I mentioned at the start of this video that an event occurred recently that made me think about this. And the event was pretty simple. I'm a geek, if you haven't already guessed it. There are many science fiction things that I love. I'm into all that. And one of them is Doctor Who. Now it was recently announced. Matt Smith announced a while back that he was leaving Doctor Who. Now he was 26 when he was given the role, and even then there were people kicked up a stink. What age? Too young. But he was a brilliant doctor. He did 4 years. He will be missed. But again, he moves on. He wants to do other things. So then became the big thing. Oh, who's going to be? Who's going to be the doctor? And there were all sorts of names bandied about, like Andrew Scott. Even Benedict Cumberbatch was mentioned. But he's Sherlock. He's not going to do it. And there was like Dominic Cooper, Colin Morgan, Bradley James, and it was just absolute guessing game of all the names. But one name stood out above them all, and it was a guy called Peter Capaldi. And they unveiled him. I know who the guy is. He starred in a comedy TV show called The Thick of It. He's a funny guy, great actor. He actually appeared in an episode of Doctor Who, and he's a good actor, and I have no doubt on this earth he will do great in the role. But then some Whovians, as the Doctor Who fans are called, I don't think I'd necessarily call myself one because I'm only really a fan of Doctor Who since the resurgence in 2005 with Christopher Eccleston. But the Whovians, certain sections of them weren't happy. And again, it relates to the subject of the video, which is ageism. Now this is Peter Capaldi. This picture right here, this is Peter Capaldi. Now, he's 55 years old, and he is the new Doctor. Again, I better not call him Doctor Who. Whovians are going nuts about it because the Doctor doesn't have a name. He's just the Doctor. Like this guy, Peter Capaldi, is the new Doctor. And certain sections of Whovians were up in arms. Like, he's too old, he can't be doing it. And I couldn't believe it when I heard that. Because it's like, again, you don't go for youth. I mean, they kicked up a stink when it was too young with Matt Smith. Now they've got a guy here, he's 55, and they're fucking whinging about him as well. So I looked up the other doctors. No, this guy is going to be the 12th. Peter Capaldi is the 12th doctor. There have been 11 people before him. Now, as I said, Matt Smith was 26 when he got the role. But I looked at some of the other doctors and how old they were. Now, William Hartnell, for instance, he was apparently 38 when he came to the role of Doctor Who. He was the first Doctor. So I looked at who are the other guys and how old were they? And the 30s seemed to be the general age, but there were instances where it went above that. Like there was Tom Baker was 40 years old when he was given the role. Colin Baker, I don't think they're related, was 41. Sylvester McCoy was 44. And one of the most recent guys, Christopher Eccleston, was 41. Now you take someone like Sylvester McCoy, 44 years old, that's only 11 years short of what Peter Capaldi is. So it was the reaction of Whovians that made me think about this, and it's gotten to a point now where fucking BBC America aren't happy that they've chosen Peter Capaldi, and again, it's only rumor. I don't know if this is necessarily true, but the rumor is BBC are going to go rogue and make their own Doctor Who. An American version of Doctor Who. That would be terrible. American versions of British shows have happened for ages, and they're not as good. You can't beat the original. But it's just the fact that that certain people are whinging. This guy's he's too old, and he's not. Again, he brings experience. I keep saying that about these elderly people who are passed over for jobs. They have experience. You want someone who knows what they're talking about. This is a guy who doesn't have to be shown what to do. This is a guy who doesn't have to be trained. He's been around a while. He's 55. He's been in his craft for many years. He knows what to do. I have no doubt on this earth when we see him as Doctor, we'll see him at the end of the Christmas special when he regenerates from Matt Smith into the new guy. I've no doubt Peter Capaldi will be great. I can't wait to see his full episodes, and I've no doubt the second we see him as the Doctor, people are going to be like, fucking well done, brilliant, yes. Because he's a funny guy, he's a good actor, and he'll do well. I think. It has fuck all to do with his age. Age is irrelevant as long as you're experienced and you're still physically capable of your job. There's no reason why you should discriminate against something like that. Right, well, that's the end of another episode. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Again, feel free to leave comments or leave me any comments on Twitter. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye.